The cover page has Reiju. Reiju, as we know, is Beiju for me. And that scorpion is actually confessing their love. That's actually me. And I get it. I absolutely get it. You know, this cover art request is by Noda Skywalker. And if you know anything about a cover page request, Noda Skywalker gets chosen all the time for cover page requests. I know a lot of people say that's Oda's other pen name or a secret alias, and I'm starting to believe that. So as much as I'd like to talk about Reiju even more, because she looks really good, we got to talk about some other stuff. And, you know, in the analysis, we try to go in depth and break down every single thing that happened in the chapter. So without further ado, let's go. But if you're here for the first time, make sure to subscribe to this channel for more content like this. We do this damn near every day. If you would like to be a part of that, just hit that subscribe button and like the video as well. So let's go. Luffy's Gear 4th. That was the whole purpose of Udon. Control, flow, all of that was what Luffy was harnessing in Udon. Here versus Kaido, Luffy, to a lesser extent, lost control, where it was on purpose because he was trying to give it his all. But I think slow and steady wins this race because you're going up against two Yonko. But Luffy, again, he was giving it his all to try to take Kaido out. And then he's like, okay, well, maybe I'm down for 10 minutes. We only have to deal with Big Mom. But that's maybe a bit arrogant or pompous of Luffy to think that that's all it would take to take down Kaido. The perception of Gear 4th was different than this. I think a lot of people, including myself, felt that Gear 4th was past this because of how Oda had Luffy almost spamming Gear 4th on the way here. So you expected Luffy to be able to do things like this and not go out of Gear 4th, but a part of me is happy the limit is still here because it tells us that Luffy still has some growing to do and that in moments like this, Luffy could lose control. But there is indication that Luffy has grown, clearly, right? From his damage to Kaido, from Big Mom being surprised at how strong he is, but going from Whole Cake Island where he landed one punch on Big Mom before, you know, going out of Gear 4th. And it seems like for him, he could use Gear 4th and go out of it without any issue. Problem comes in when he gives it his all in one blow or in a succession of blows like he did versus Kaido. So progressively, I love it, right? Because this makes a lot of sense. Luffy still hasn't overcome this. And one thing for Gear 4th is that it's a sacrifice. The overuse of Haki is granting him this jump in power, like Kid said. So this drawback, I'm not sure if it's always going to be there, but it makes sense because the leap in power is actually ridiculous. Maybe someday, once he gets to that level in regards to his Haki, he'll be able to control it and this drawback won't be there anymore. It won't be as prevalent. I also think Oda may use Law here in this situation in regards to Luffy's Haki, where at some point we may see a form or a mode from Luffy that Oda will use Law to tell the audience just exactly what is going on. Because in Dressrosa, Oda used Law to tell us that, again, he's using his Haki inefficiently. So that may be the moment in which these drawbacks dissipate or, again, become less prevalent. With Luffy out of commission for 10 minutes, this makes things a lot more difficult because after Law went and attacked Big Mom with Counter Shock, it gave me an idea. I think for the most part, Zoro will be protecting Luffy for these 10 minutes, while the others, Law, Kid, and Killer, will have their moment to shine versus these two Yonko. I mean, obviously, Law versus Big Mom by himself is going to be an overwhelming task, but I think it may be Kid and Law, right? Kid fighting Kaido and Law fighting Big Mom with Killer providing support for both. Or we may see Beppo actually get to the rooftop at that point to support his captain. However, I think if there was any time for Kid to step up, now would be the time. It'd be perfect by Oda to have Kid do this while Luffy's out of commission because the stage is his, right? For the most part, the perception of Law and Kid has normally been perceived as on a higher tier than Law because of the comparison to Luffy or just the portrayal. So far, we have not seen it, but again, this is the opportune time for that to happen. For Kaido and Big Mom, it's a wide array of moves that we've seen, which makes sense for the Yonko. And for Oda, typically he reserves attacks, reserves moves, because from a writing standpoint, he tries to save things. Oda is going deep into his bag to show you everything these Yonko have, because this may be it for these Yonko in regards to any fights or them being combatants, right? Where this may be the last time we see Kaido and Big Mom fight ever in the series. This is giving us a glimpse of just what they are. Just imagine if Law, Luffy, and the Straw Hats had fought against Kaido back then when they talked about taking out a Yonko, without the training in Whole Cake Island, without his training in Udon. I mean, we saw that Luffy got one shot the first time he fought Kaido, but, you know, circumstances changed things there, but for the most part, he got one shot. And as much as the Straw Hats have grown, from, you know, Sanji getting his raid suit to Zoro getting Enma, Luffy getting his Ryo training and his future sight, the Yonko is still superior, which, you know, they're going to fall, but I think power scaling wise, as creative as Oda is in regards regards to this story. The progressive system makes sense. Now, for Luffy, there's a bubble because he grows at an alarming rate. But I think in regards to progression, no one is like him, but even as much as he's progressed throughout the story, seemingly 1v1 he's still leagues behind the Yonko. And as much as Luffy has progressed, granted Blackbeard hasn't progressed in the same way, but he's progressed even more politically, influentially, in regards to how he's gone throughout the story, where he's gone from a relative nobody to having a higher bounty than Luffy. So I think the drawbacks that he's going through and the situations they're in now, just showing the difference, it makes me happy because I don't think things are absolutely broken. Yes, it may seem weird based on where we thought these characters were, but these characters haven't been pushed like this. In regards to characters, I mean, you know, we haven't seen Kid, we haven't seen Killer, we haven't seen Zoro. And because of what Enma does, even though it's still in the dark a bit in regards to what it can do, it's huge, man. It's huge. And even here, Zoro used his own Dragon Twister to counter Kaido's, which is amazing, right? 3-sword style. Of course, Zoro is able to cut Kaido now, but the catalyst of this cutting of Kaido is Enma. Without Enma, this is not possible, even though it's 3-sword style. Because one thing I was looking at in this actual spread is that it was one cut on Kaido. He penetrated Kaido's scales. So even though it's 3-sword style, the main catalyst, the thing that's able to penetrate Kaido, is still Enma. That's the source of the strange haki. There are things we still have to figure out, but with Enma, Zoro's on a completely different level because of the training he did and just how strong this sword is. But what I liked as well is just with Zoro, he mentioned himself that he let his guard down. And of course, him letting his guard down would be to the detriment of Luffy, but he's always telling Luffy not to let his guard down. It's different because Zoro is just, you know, he was amazed at what Kaido had done. But because of that, he lost Luffy, and Zoro, being the type of person that he is, did everything in his power to get Luffy back. Right? Just Zoro being Zoro. What Kaido means by, you know, Odin's sword and the haki, we still don't know, right? One could surmise that there's residual in the sword, but I'm not going to go back and forth in regards to Enma every single week. We're just going to wait until everything is laid out. Then we're going to come to a conclusion in regards to what exactly Enma is doing. But I will not agree with people that are saying Enma is carrying Zoro to downplay Zoro. Go. Go is a Japanese game, Japanese board game, which is the short form of the word ego, which means encirclement or surrounding, which makes a lot of sense here. After reading this chapter several times, I think this actually confirms that Orochi is not dead. Personally, I think Orochi is absolutely alive. I'll explain what I mean, obviously. CP0 here talks about the executives being important as well, and that they must be taken out, and just taking out Kaido is not going to end it all. Even if you remove the head, the body still lives or still thrives. Almost like Hunter x Hunter and the Phantom Troop. At the same time, well, initially when we see the goal board, we see Orochi's head, but where is his body? This is a double meaning, in my opinion, saying to kill Orochi, you can't just decapitate the main head. You have to decapitate the subsets as well. So I think inevitably Orochi will return, and this is a clever way of Oda almost confirming to some people that Orochi's dead. But if you look deeper than that, he's telling you that Orochi is 100% alive. The things that CP0 said, I mean, it's all true about the drastic shift. The only thing that we all disagree with is them saying it's impossible. And they may have sealed the fate of Kaido and Big Mom with those words, because Luffy's middle name, other than D, is impossible. Luffy has done the impossible time and time and time again, and this time will be no different. I like that they mentioned Doflamingo as well, right after we got information about Oda and how Doflamingo should have been in Wano. I would just love if Doflamingo escaped and just showed up to Wano just because, just based on how much of a fan I am of that character, man. That's not happening though. I don't think that's happening. I think Dofi does participate in that final war, but you know, enough about Doflamingo. CP0 is correct, other than the fact that the Yonko are not going to fall here. They're absolutely going to fall. The question is, what does CP0 do after the fact? Now, a lot of people are speculating that who's who is actually a member of CP0. I think that's a bit too out front based on the person who was briefing them. Seemingly they have the same eye that who's who has. I mean, that would be an Oda thing, throwing it right in your face, and you know, you might not believe it based on how apparent it is, like with Hiyori and Komurasaki, that whole thing. But I don't believe it yet, who's who being a member of CP0. However, there is a chance of that happening. That is not Bao Huang. That is somebody different. There was somebody as well in the shot with CP0 that people are speculating that it's Robin. I don't think so. Unless Robin can create a double in different clothing with a different hairstyle, I don't think that's Nico Nico Robin. Nico Robin, from what we saw, she was on a battlefield, her hair was down. I just think that's a random geisha. And, you know, sometimes, not all the time, because people try to use this as a knock to One Piece, some women can look the same. But there are different body types, several different body types in Wano or in One Piece, so I won't take that at all. The chapter ends off with Kaido's hybrid form. Why is the hybrid important? We'll talk about that at some point as far as like what the hybrid form means to his own users. But this is a big deal because Luffy, again, he's out for 10 minutes. Big Mom and Kaido seemingly they're about to take this seriously. So we may see some really bad things for the Alliance next chapter. And again, the MVP of the chapter, no break next week. If I had to pick a character who was the MVP, I'd probably say Zoro, right? Zoro. Even though he put Luffy in that situation, he still used an amazing attack to counter it and get Luffy back. Just amazing stuff. CP0 still being in Wano. What are they going to do if the Yonko do fall and the executives fall? I mean, are they in a position to move and act? But if CP0 moves, would Sword counter them? Because Sword, they are a secret organization that's trying to do things on the up and up, while CP0, they're the organization serving the world government. What happens here? Either way, amazing chapter. The rating is rhetorical. Give me your thoughts, guys. Make sure to like the video if you did, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDAce. Follow me on Instagram at BragoD.Ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much, guys. Per usual, like and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
I start doubting me, I felt lost. I rewrite it.